Making headlines. The president expresses that he is proud of the services rendered by the Maldivian Police Service (MPS). The president states that the country needs the wisdom and guidance of every grandparent to raise a strong new generation. And the housing minister announces that FDC will now be responsible for implementing housing projects across the Maldives.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Hello and welcome to PSMNEWS in English. I'm with Mohammed, your host for the evening. The Minister of Housing, Land and Urban Development, Dr. Ali Haider Ahmed, announces that Fahidi Rural Corporation will now be responsible for implementing housing projects across the Maldives. Speaking at a press conference on the government's reform initiatives, Minister Dr. Haider highlighted a significant change in the structure of FDC, which is now transitioned into a subsidiary of the Housing Development Corporation, HDC. The minister noted FDC is already managing a major social housing project and will henceforth oversee all social housing projects nationwide. The shift aims to streamline housing development efforts and ensure uniformity in the execution of housing projects across the country. Currently, a total of 4,000 housing units are being developed in Hulumale under FDC, JMC and FDC NBCC housing project. These include 1,400 units of 900 square foot 3-bedroom apartments and 600 units of 650 square foot 2-bedroom apartments. During the press conference, Housing Minister Haider mentioned that FDC will not only carry out housing projects in Hulumale, but carry out housing projects across the country. The minister further elaborated that with this change, HDC will henceforth act as the master developer. He said HDC will also take on the role of master developer for urban centers in different parts of the country. Further, the minister also mentioned the president intends to convert HDC into a public limited company and eventually sell its shares to the public, aiming to involve the broader population in the country's urban development efforts. President Dr. PSMNEWS expresses that he is proud of the services rendered by the Maldivian Police Service. President Dr. PSMNEWS made the remarks in a social media post shared to congratulate the service on its 20th anniversary. In his post, the President noted that the Maldives Police Service provides honorable and prideful services to the nation. The President appreciated the services provided and expressed his gratitude. In his message of felicitation, President PSMNEWS sent warm greetings of the day to the officers of Maldives Police Service and their families. The police service was first introduced in the Maldives as part of the Maldivian Defense Force. The Maldives Police Service as a separate entity was formed on September 1, 2004, under the Ministry of Home Affairs. The first law for the service was drafted and brought into force in 2008. To shape the MPS within the philosophy of modern community policing, Police Service Act was formulated in 2020. President Dr. PSMNEWS states the country needs the wisdom and guidance of every grandparent to raise a strong new generation. He conveyed the message in a social media post celebrating National Grandparents' Day. National Grandparents' Day is celebrated annually on September 1 and is dedicated to honoring and recognizing the invaluable contributions of senior citizens to their families and the nation. The day serves to pass down the legacies of older generations to future ones, highlighting the importance of sharing their experiences and knowledge, especially through schools and other educational programs. The celebration aims to strengthen family bonds by deepening the connection between grandparents and their grandchildren, fostering appreciation for the many services grandparents provide. It also seeks to cultivate a societal respect for elderly, encouraging care and compassion towards them. The Ministry of Social and Family Development underscored the importance of creating joyful moments with grandparents, improving family relationships, ensuring a safe environment for the elderly, and nurturing respect and care in younger generations. The goal of the ministry is to instill love and respect for grandparents in the hearts of grandchildren, making it a shared responsibility to provide them with care. Minister of Economic Development and Trade, Mohammed Saeed, announces that the Maldives has proposed reducing duties on 38 items, including tuna fish, under the Preferential Trade Agreement (PTA) with Turkey. He made the statement in an interview with PSMNEWS.
The initiative to draft a trade agreement between the Maldives and Turkey began following discussions during President Dr. Mohamed Muizz's official visit to Turkey last year. The two nations have been working towards finalizing a PTA. Speaking to PSMNews, Minister Saeed revealed that the Maldives initially proposed 214 items for consideration, with duty reductions offered on 38 of them, including yellowfin tuna, skipjack tuna, dried fish and other fish products. He highlighted that duty reductions are also being considered for the remaining items, which have been prioritized by the Maldives as they have not previously been eligible for duty deductions. Additionally, Minister Saeed pointed out that while some countries process fish caught by their vessels in Turkey, there is opposition to tariff cuts on exporting these products to European markets. Despite this, he emphasized that achieving such concessions from Turkey is a significant accomplishment for the Maldives. He also said that the agreement is progressing well and is expected to be signed and implemented by the end of this year or early next year. President Dr. Muizz has been involved in discussions aimed at reducing tariffs on Maldivian fish exports to Turkey, which will be facilitated through the upcoming PTA between the two countries.
Minister of Economic Development and Trade Mohammed Saeed reveals the government has submitted a full proposal to PayPal Holdings Inc., aiming to launch PayPal services in the Maldives.
Speaking at a program aired on PSMNews, Minister Saeed highlighted that the introduction of PayPal services is a long-awaited goal for the youth and various stakeholders in the e-commerce sector. The minister reiterated President Dr. Mohamed Muizz's commitment of introducing a variety of services targeting the youth as he prioritizes in ensuring a better future for them. He emphasized the potential for leveraging online platforms, including social media, to generate revenue, and indicated that the government's goal is to enable local users to benefit from these platforms. Furthermore, Minister Saeed also noted that many creative online businesses and individuals engaged in digital e-commerce face substantial challenges. To address these issues, he mentioned that the government had engaged in comprehensive discussions with relevant authorities and submitted a full proposal to launch PayPal services. PayPal, a wide-used e-wallet application, facilitates convenient online transactions. However, while Maldivians can use PayPal to send funds abroad, they encounter challenges when it comes to receiving payments. Introducing online payment systems and e-wallets in the Maldives is a pledge of President Dr. Muizz. The government is working to fulfill this pledge, including plans to introduce additional e-wallets from other countries alongside PayPal. The administration is optimistic that these initiatives will enhance the financial system and provide residents with greater convenience in financial transactions.
Commissioner of Police Ali Shujao underscores the critical need to equip the Maldives Police Service (MPS) with sufficient resources and training to effectively prevent and address planned criminal activities.
Speaking at the ceremony commemorating the 20th anniversary of MPS's establishment as a civil service organization, Commissioner Shujao highlighted the importance of training officers to adapt to the evolving criminal environment. He identified drug abuse and gang-related crimes as the primary challenges the Maldives face and stressed the necessity for targeted efforts to combat these issues. The Commissioner emphasized the importance of enhancing the capabilities of police officers to prevent planned crimes and to investigate financial crimes more effectively. In his address, Commissioner Shujao expressed sincere gratitude to all parties who supported MPS in various tenures to strengthen the management and running of MPS, which initially started with only 500 officers. He acknowledged both praise and criticism from the public, adding that constructive feedback from local media has been instrumental in improving both individual officers' performance and the overall effectiveness of MPS. Furthermore, Commissioner Shujao honored the police officers who have lost their lives while fulfilling their duties, who bravely sacrificed themselves to defend the nation. He called on all police officers to exert their utmost efforts to build public trust, reiterating that serving the nation and ensuring the safety and security of residents must remain the highest priority for all officers. This year marks the 20th year since MPS started to provide services as a civil service organization. Prior to this, police services were provided under the National Security Service for 91 years, with MPS being established as a distinct civil service organization on September 1, 2004.
The Wehboge Academy, the National Language Institute of the Maldives, inaugurates its annual book fair, Fenda Moras 2024. This marks the second year of the event, which will take place at the Academy till September 2 between 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. The Academy has announced that the fair will showcase a diverse range of books, including those of the Academy itself, children's books, literature books, books related to history, storybooks, and novels. Notably, the fair will feature a special book detailing the history of the kings and queens of the Maldives, available in both English and the language. In addition to books published by the Academy, the fair will also present works by individual authors. The Academy has revealed that the prices of books at the fair will be reduced compared to standard rates. Center for Higher Education CHSC resumes providing higher secondary education in its old school building situated in Mala City. Following the decision made by President Dr. Mohamed Muiz, the school resumed providing education after renovations were made to the building. The previous administration halted providing education in the building as a new CHSC building was established in Hurumale in 2023. In a post shared on social media, Minister of Education Dr. Ismail Shafir stated that the arrangements were made to ensure that higher secondary education is provided from a government school in Mal City as well. The minister affirmed that the school would be the best school providing higher secondary education in the Maldives in the greater Mala region, assuring that it will consist of a convenient environment for students. He stated that this change will reduce the number of students traveling between the two cities and would also assist in implementing closure in education and reduce the government expenditure on higher education. Recognizing the increasing number of students completing O levels, Mr. Dr. Shafir explained that the decision to resume providing education in the CHSC building in Male was taken to ensure that students were presented with more opportunities to study A levels. This change will have no effect on the education provided from the CHSC building located in Hurumale. CHSC was established on July 3, 1979, under the name Science Education Center. European stock markets wobble, but Wall Street rallies as investors digested inflation figures that raised the prospect of interest rate cuts into the two major economies.
Official data showed the U.S. Federal Reserve's favored measure of inflation, the Personal Consumption Expenditures (PCE) price index, held steady on an annual basis in July at 2.5%. It edged up on a monthly basis from 0.1% in June to 0.2% in July. The figures were in line with market forecasts, raising expectations that the Fed will cut rates when it meets on September 17th to 18th. The only doubt now is the size of the reduction. Analysts expect a cut of 0.25 percentage points, but some say it could be bigger if job data next week shows weakness in the labor market. In Europe, official figures show that inflation slowed to 2.2% in August in the 20 countries that share the euro. The figures raised hopes that the European Central Bank, which cut rates already once in June but paused in July, will lower borrowing costs again in September. French Central Bank Governor Francois Villeroy said in an interview with the magazine Le Point, published Friday, that it would be fair and wise for the ECB to cut rates as its September 12 meeting. Gianluigi Mendrizzato, senior economist at EFG Asset Management, said that while a rate cut is expected next month, an increase in services prices raised the likelihood that the ECB will not reduce them again before December. ECB board member Isabel Schnabel cautioned on Friday that the Frankfurt-based institution should proceed gradually and cautiously on rates. Speaking before the Eurozone inflation figures were released, she pointed in particular to persistent price pressures in the services sector. But other analysts said the ECB will likely move on rates again later this year. Oil prices meanwhile fell after reports that OPEC is set to proceed with a planned oil output increase from October. The report comes amid concerns about Libyan supply disruptions.
Israel announces its troops had found 6 dead hostages in a Gaza tunnel, while Israeli police said a shooting attack in the occupied West Bank killed 3 officers.
In the besieged Gaza Strip, humanitarian pauses in the nearly 11-month war between Israel and Hamas was set to take hold on Sunday to facilitate a massive polio vaccination drive which a health official told AFP had begun. The deadly shooting near the city of Hebron added to surge in violence in the West Bank, which is separated from Gaza by Israeli territory and where Israeli forces pressed on with a large-scale military operation that sparked international concern. A military statement said the remains of 6 hostages were recovered Saturday from an underground tunnel in the Rafah area in southern Gaza and formally identified in Israel. Military spokesman Daniel Hagari said all 6 were abducted alive on the morning of October 7th and brutally murdered by Hamas terrorists shortly before the Israeli army reached them. US President Joe Biden, whose administration has been involved in mediation efforts to secure Gaza truce and hostage release deal, said he was still optimistic that a deal can be reached. The 6 were among 251 hostages seized during Hamas's October 7th attack that triggered the ongoing war. 97 of whom remain captive in Gaza, including 33 the Israeli army says are dead. Scores were released during a negotiated 1-week truce in November. Critics in Israel have accused Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of prolonging the war for political gain.
Luis Suarez and Inter Miami CF continues their winning ways, beating the host Chicago Fire 4-1.
Suarez forced an own goal in the first half, then added 2 goals of his own in the second half to bring his season total to 16 as Miami won its first straight match and improved to 8-1-1 in its last 10 outings. Robert Taylor also scored for Miami, which was without superstar Lionel Messi, who hasn't played in a match since getting injured while helping Argentina win the Copa America final against Colombia on July 14th. Miami's David Ruiz, Diego Gomez, Jordi Alba, Leonardo Campina, and Sergio Busquets all added assists. The Fire are winless in 3 straight matches. Miami took a 1-0 lead in the 24th minute as Suarez's initial shot was stopped by Chris Brady, but it then took a deflection of defender Tobias Salquist for an own goal. The lead grew to 2-0 in the 47th minute. This time a Gomez pass found the run of Suarez, who struck in cleanly past Brady to double the Miami advantage. Suarez struck again in the 65th minute to make it 3-0. Following Busquets' free kick, Alba's cross from just inside the left edge of the box was laid off by Gomez, then met by perfect touch by Suarez, then found the back of the net. Chicago finally found the scoreboard through Georgios in the 82nd minute as he slid a Kellen Acosta cross past Drake Callender to make it 3-1. But Miami added a 4th goal in second half stoppage time as Taylor put home a Campana pass to finish the scoring. Miami finished with 18 shots to Chicago's 15, including an 8-4 shots on goal advantage. Their 62 goals lead all MLS teams. Callender made 3 saves as he came just a few minutes shy of a second straight clean sheet. Brady finished the evening with 5 saves for the Fire. Miami was without Thomas Evil, who was shown a red card against FC Cincinnati in the last match.
Kenya's Treetops Hotel, where Britain's Elizabeth became queen in 1952, reopens after closing due to the COVID-19 pandemic, marking a new chapter in its storied history.
The iconic lodge, first opened in 1932 and perched in Aberdeen National Park, overlooks a watering hole where buffaloes and elephants gather. It was here that Princess Elizabeth, during a royal tour of Kenya, learned of her father King George's death on February 6, 1952, ascending to the throne at the age of 25. Framed pictures of Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip adorn the walls alongside newspaper headlines commemorating the moment that transformed the young princess into Queen Elizabeth II, the longest reigning monarch in British history. Treetops Hotel General Manager Wycliffe Muturo said that the historical part of the princess being announced there as the Queen has brought a good rapport between Britain and Kenya. Muturo added that the hotel's royal connection has boosted tourism in the Aberdeen region, contributing to local economic development. The reopening comes at a crucial time for Kenya's tourism industry, which has been severely impacted by the global pandemic. The hotel features a Princess Elizabeth suite, where guests can watch animals at the watering hole while sipping coffee, offering a unique blend of luxury and wildlife observation. This experience echoes the original purpose of Treetops, which was built as a game viewing lodge. Tour guide Grace Sau expressed happiness at the reopening, saying she had long looked forward to bringing guests to the historic site. The surrounding Aberdeen National Park, established in 1950, is home to diverse wildlife, including elephants that visit the hotel's watering hole in family groups. The park covers an area of 767 square kilometers and is part of the Aberdeen Mountain Range, a vital water catchment area for Kenya. Kenya Wildlife Service Ranger Gladys Katuria highlighted the area's historical significance, mentioning a nearby waterfall visited by the late Queen and caves used by Mau Mau fighters during Kenya's struggle for independence in the 1950s.
That's it for now. Thank you for watching. Have a pleasant night ahead. Bye-bye.